Hi guys! Okay, so this is really cool, I think. I ordered this little gift, and when I got it with this, it's a necklace, but anyway, I got it and it had this little card on it. And it's a really simple drawing, as you can see, and then on the top of the box, it had this moon-shaped design. And I swear, doesn't this look like a Zentangle design to you? Totally similar to our first Zentangle, the Hershey Kisses, and maybe with a little bit of variation, but I thought that that was so neat. So we're seeing this kind of design and artwork just all over the place, which I think is awesome. So we're going to go ahead and learn a couple of more design Zentangles. My paper fell off, but that's okay. So you will want to have your B pencil, and you'll want to have your 6B pencil. And if I can find it, I'll start with my B, and this time I'm still going to be making squares, but I got to thinking, I like these designs so much, I could actually put these side by side in a little frame, and I think that they would be pretty neat. But that would mean cutting them out and pushing them together. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just plan a little bit for that. I have my piece of paper that's going to protect my hand from getting smudgy. And let's get started. Okay, I love this next design that we're going to be doing. I've actually seen some of my students do this design or a very similar design. And the first thing that we want to do is to find the center of this square. Now we could just eyeball it, but there's actually a really easy way to find the center of any square or rectangle. You just take any straight line. We're not using rulers this year, so we can use the straight line of our mixed media pad, and we can very lightly, so lightly you might not even be able to see it, draw a line from corner to corner, and then also from this corner like that. And then where the two lines meet is the center. And we are going to go ahead and put a little dot in the center. And then around that dot, we are going to put a circle. Does not have to be perfect. I'm using my 6B pencil. And before I get any further, and because I'm apt to forget, I'm going to go ahead and add my border. And I'm going to heavy up the corners. So beef up those outer lines with a heavier weight. Like that. Okay. So I'm going to, from my circle. I'm going to make a crisscross line really lightly, just so that it can kind of give me an it's called a guideline because it kind of ends up just being used as a guide. And it's maybe halfway down from the top. Maybe it ends halfway from the bottom, plus or minus, maybe 2/3 and 2/3. And then I'm going to do another one that angles across and another one that angles across. So it kind of looks like a star. And then from the tip to the tip to the tip, I'm going to give myself these little markings. And then in between each of these lines that go out, it kind of looks like a star right now, I'm going to make a straight line that comes straight out at an angle between each of these. And maybe 1/3 as long, or maybe half as long. Kind of doesn't really matter. Whatever you kind of see that works for you. Now I'm going to, from the tips of my short, really looks like a sun right now, right? So we're actually going to make it into something that looks like a flower. So from the end of our sun rays, we're going to make this little outer curve, inner curve, up to a tip. Same thing on the side, outer curve, inner curve, up to a tip. So we're starting at the end of the sun ray, curving out, in and up to our dot, starting at the end of the sun ray, out and up to the dot, out and up to the dot, out and up to the dot. Now, the nice thing about botanicals is that they are organic, right? And that means that they're not perfect. So it is totally okay if your lines, particularly these that are on the outside that are kind of hard, if they're not exactly perfect, it's okay. Flowers aren't really perfect. So now over our initial guidelines, we're going to start at the circle, come out a little ways, and make these little dots. Now here's the thing about Zentangles. There's no mistakes, and there's no erasing. So if you find that what you're making looks a little different from mine, totally okay. Just go with it. So now I'm going to, between each of my flower petals, make a basic leaf shape, which is going to kind of look like half of a football. So I'm going to start on the inside of one of my petals, and I'm going to end on the inside of the next petal. And I'm going to make just a simple curve that comes to a point, and then a curve that comes down. Make the next one a curve that comes to a point, a curve that comes down. Work my way around. Curve that comes down. Now, I'm going to just repeat the same thing. I'm going to start on the inside of my leaf, and I'm going to end on the inside tip of the other leaf, and I'm going to go ahead and make another football shape. Inside of one leaf to the inside of the next leaf. Sometimes it does help me to give myself little dots so I know where I'm starting and where I'm ending. Now we're just going to repeat it again. So I'm going to start inside and end on the inside of the next outer leaf. I find that it's so satisfying to see how this grows. And it starts to look like a flower if you're looking directly down on it. We repeat the pattern. Now, when your petals get big enough that they're going off of your Zentangle square, you can just stop the petal at the edge of the square and pick it up so that it looks like, you don't have to feel like you have to make it fit. You can just stop your line. Like this is a really good example where you can just stop your line. Maybe come over here so that it looks like it's ending behind your border. You're just going to continue doing that until you fill up your Zentangle square. One of the things I love about this is that they're small. It's not intimidating. And there's no mistakes. If you do something that you didn't mean to do, you just work it into the design. So we're going to add a little bit more at the tip of each of these leafy petals that we've made, we're going to make a little line. So we're going to start at the tip and press down and come toward the center, lifting up. Press down, come toward the center, lifting up. Sometimes I need to remind myself to slow down and enjoy every pencil stroke. By pressing at the tip of your petal and then coming and lifting up, and you end up having this line which starts out thick and then thins, which is really lovely. So my petals that have kind of gone off of the page, or my Zentangle square, you can kind of figure out where that point would be and then give a little indication of that line off at that point. Looks pretty good. We're going to do a little bit of shading. I love this part because it really helps to make something which is a flat pattern become three-dimensional. So what we're going to do is we're going to shade first. We're going to shade on the outside of our circle, and just a little bit. We're not coloring in. We're just giving it a little bit of value. So the important thing is we're not coloring in the entire petal. We're just giving it a little bit of value just outside of the circle, and trying to make it go from kind of a middle value to a light value. And then we're going to do a little bit of shading inside the V, or inside the middle of each of these leaves. A little bit goes a long way. It's really gonna make it look three-dimensional. We'll do the same thing with the next leaves. It's going to be dark toward the middle, toward the circle, or toward that original sun. And then it's going to get lighter it goes away from that toward the tip. So shading is all about pressure, and if you want dark value, you can press hard. If you want a light value, you can press lightly. And in this case, we're trying to have a dark value toward the center of the flower, and then by lifting and doing less pressure, then we have a lighter value. For me, it's a little bit easier the bigger the petals are. Or maybe I just like how it's looking the further I get along in the process. So a lot of times throughout the day, especially recently with COVID, all that's going on in the world, I found that I am really kind of anxious and nervous. And I've really been looking forward to waking up and doing some Zentangle, because it just seems relaxing. And for a few minutes in the day, I don't have to really think about all the weirdness that's happening. I can just relax and make something that I know is going to be beautiful. And honestly, even if it's not beautiful, that's okay. I can just really enjoy the process. I hope you love yours too. Great job, guys.